You're tuned in to a Cannabis Legalization News special report. Hi, I'm Tom Howard. You can find me over at collateralbase.com or cannabisindustryglory.com if you have questions on what's about to happen. It is 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 Eastern. One of the things that we have queued up for you is a QR code that you can use your phone to get right there. Whenever we have these types of things, you get email blasts alerting you that we're going to be live. We have a great guest on Sunday. Trump typically takes a few minutes before he goes, but if you want to get our email newsletter, please hit that QR code right there. And one of the other things that we'd like for you to do is don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I'm going to share something because we have a leaked summary of what is going to be coming up. So I'm going to present that now. However, we have this ready to go. That's the White House live feed. Whenever Trump steps up to the podium, he will be stepping up to the podium right there. The other things that we have ready to go for you is we can share this tab. These are his executive orders. This one has not come up yet. One of the things you may have seen, the stocks are kind of selling off right now. There's an old saying about, sell the rumor, no, buy the rumor, sell the news. Kind of have a sell the news event going on right there. That will happen. Yes. And then there was a small leak that happened. And so that is this tab. Let me get rid of the ads because Marijuana Moment, God bless them, but they do have a lot of ads. And they have the summary right here. He's going to direct the Attorney General to expedite to Schedule 3, direct top White House staff to work with Congress. And so he most recently did that in the with the AI bill. That was quite successful with the working together in Congress. Urged Congress to examine updating the definition of hemp because the current definition of hemp with that 0.4, that just ain't going to cut it, because 0.4, that might, cut out all the full spectrum. And then, so he's going to also mention hemp. And then finally, we have one more aspect of it. Direct the United States Department of Health and Human Services to develop research methods and models to utilize real-world evidence and improve access to hemp-derived CBD products. Now, let's go back to the live news. It will be getting going here soon. Has anybody, it's like we can do a little bit of Q&A. Hopefully you are a subscriber. If not, please consider it. But who here is long the MSOs? Because right now it's only down 10%, but it's up like 100%. And we also had a couple of starred ones. Will this EO get odds above 50% for states 2.0 and Safe Banking Act in 2026? Perhaps. One of the aspects that they're going to be doing is calling out to Congress, urging them, what did the leak say? Direct White House staffers to work with Congress to give patients access to full spectrum CBD products. So the full spectrum CBD products, that 0.4 milligram, that's not going to fly. Now, that is an interesting thing. He might be getting over his skis on that. One of the things that Trump can do, and with an executive order, they can move agencies, but they cannot move statutes. And so today is about speed, pressure, signaling this Schedule 3 legalization, but it's not instant legalization. So at Coolness, who threw us $4 or $5, thank you for that. That may get odds up. Whether it's over 50% or not, I don't know. I'm a very cynical person, especially after watching this issue for so many years and seeing how politics works. So I think we will see some movement. What movement? I'm not sure. We do have an election in November, and that might allow them to work together. But let's see what he's going to ask them to do. Also had a super sticker. Shout out to them, and we have plenty of other chats coming on in. So one of the things that he can do is he can direct Pam Bondi to finish up with rescheduling cannabis. It appears that has been leaked. He's going to direct the Attorney General to expedite that completion. It'll be coming up on your screen right there. He's not here yet, but he's coming. It'll be quite clear when he's here, but he ain't here yet. And this is kind of common. I said it at 12:30. I wanted to be on for you guys. Hopefully you're doing well. I had to cancel a phone call for this, but if it's worth canceling IRC 280E, do you have any idea how many clients and operators in the industry are going to amend their tax returns? It's going to be great. Now, Trump cannot reschedule this by executive order. That is ultra vires, which means beyond his power in like Latin or something. He may not like that term because it is in Latin, and also he thinks he has, ultimate power. However, rescheduling requires agency rulemaking, and that has been vested by Congress over to the DOJ, and the DOJ, who is headed by, of course, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, then delegated that authority to the DEA, who is now, I believe it's Terry Crews or Terry Cole. It is the new head of the DEA. So as quickly as Pam and Cole can get together, we should see rescheduling, hopefully early next year. Now, there will be some notice and comments, and then Sam, one of the most ironically named NGOs out there, Smart Approaches Against Marijuana, Smart Approaches for Marijuana, is very anti. They've been having a pretty good conniption. So the president really looks like he's going to start the engine and rev it up and throw it over to Congress, urge Congress to examine updating the definition of hemp to ensure that full spectrum CBD is accessible to patients, and direct White House staff to work with Congress to give patients access to full spectrum CBD products. One of the things that I did not see leaked in any of these points has anything to do with safe banking or states 2.0. And then this one is interesting, Medicare coverage for CBD. That is what may also be ultra vires. That's 41 USC section 1395 W/102 for those who keep score of the United States Code. That's Medicare Part D. And then there's also FDA approval. That's also in 21 USC section 355. Now that's interesting because the only one that's approved is Epidiolex, and it's a Schedule 5, I believe, for CBD. And how would he be able to do this? Perhaps with a pilot program or demonstration program. We will see on what they're going to do on that. That one I'm most cautious about. Now, we don't have him up here yet. He'll be up shortly. Maybe we should just turn on some Cheech and Chong, and chill out until he steps up to the podium. But when he gets there, we'll all be ready. And I'll just plug our stuff one more time because, you're here. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you over at Cannabis Legalization News. And if you want our newsletter every week, we have the CEO of FlowHub. Miggy and I are getting pretty close to opening this dispensary. And if you want to follow along at that, there's our QR code. You can get our newsletters and you'll get alerts whenever we put out videos. I just put one out about the Cannabinoid Safety and Regulation Act. I don't think it's going to fly. And I don't think it's going to be mentioned. It seems like the only thing that he's really going to do, and by he, I mean, of course, Donald Trump, allow for full spectrum CBD products to be included. And that full spectrum typically was a 20-to-1 ratio. I don't know, but if Donald Trump can help HHS redefine hemp, they should earn the Cannabis Legalization News Peace Prize. But, may not happen. One of the things that we like to do with the Cannabis Legalization News Peace Prize is, of course, okie dokie smoking. I'm going to roll our intro, and we will continue waiting and awarding fake peace prizes until Donald Trump steps up. We'll be right back with more Cannabis Legalization News. Maybe you haven't won the Cannabis Legalization News Peace Prize yet, but Hyazona wants one. We did not make one. That is an AI-generated peace prize. Only FIFA did this. So if you have any questions about what he's going to be doing, please get them into the chat. One of the aspects that we didn't see leaked, but probably is going to be there is some type of clemency. Very important. I just worked out another script, but then this came up and sucked all the oxygen out of the room. It really did. And the next script that I'm going to do digs into the policy wrongs of Schedule One cannabis and how many federal prisoners there are. Right now, I believe there are less than 3,000 federal prisoners, but still 3,000 too many, of course. Okay. Separate from Trump's order, it says Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, the administrator for the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, all right, will announce a new model on a number of CMS beneficiaries to benefit from receiving CBD under doctor recommendation. That does not mean prescription. That's different. At no cost. That is going to be one way that, I mean, talk about saving the hemp industry. One of the reasons why we had the Delta 8 THC sweep is because you couldn't get rid of all the CBD. Imagine if seniors through the Medicare program could have bought that CBD for free. It's a huge government subsidy for hemp that they're going to be announcing. So if you like huge government subsidies for hemp, let's see those thumbs up, because you may then win Cannabis Legalization News Peace Prize. Only fictional, which is a made-up word for fictitious. Okay, rolling right along. Let's go check. Still waiting on it. Trump does this. He likes to be a little late. And let's see if they've updated the executive orders. You still have not. I'm going to be throwing these right now into the chat so you guys can follow along. The executive order looks like the last one was just a few days ago on December 15th. And I'm going to throw that into the comments if you're following along, so that when the executive order hits, you will be able to get it. That executive order will be coming maybe at the end of the day. We'll see. But I will do a full deep dive onto it, and, you know, maybe explaining some of the questions you have. But the most legally sound thing that he can do will be the clemency, because pardons, that is in the Constitution. Absolute pardon power, Article 2, Section 2, actually, I believe. Not that we're going to pull that up, but if we have to fill time, we might. Now, the president can absolutely do that. The banking, didn't see anything about banking leaked. We'll see if they talk about banking. Now, the Congress has to pass these laws. So the Trump cannot reassign the scheduling of any drug, whether or not he uses an executive order or not. He can direct the Department of Justice to move it along, which is great. So this is wonderful. He is telling the Department of Justice what to do, or will be when he comes up. And we will have that live for reaction as it starts. It's not quite 20 past the hour, but he is about 14 minutes late. What would it mean for cannabis to be rescheduled to Schedule 3? First off, somebody else answered it, 280E, that would no longer apply. Now, you might not know it, but if you're in the industry, you certainly do. You see, could you imagine if Starbucks was taxed at gross profits? For example, they would buy their coffee beans, right? They couldn't roast them. Maybe they could. Maybe they could roast them and try to put the roasting costs into inventory, because it's not quite ready to use until it's been roasted. And so after the coffee beans have been roasted, then you prep it for sale. You know, you package it, you grind it up, and then you put it into the coffee, and then you sell it to somebody. You would only be able to deduct the cost of goods sold, your inventory, your coffee beans. And then everything else would be considered, at least under the federal law, because many states have detached from this aspect of the tax code. Everything else would be considered profits. And so you would owe whatever tax rate you're at. This is one of the reasons why C corporations are so popular in the cannabis industry, because when a C corporation is audited, the audit stops at the C corporation level and doesn't flow through to the owners of the stock in that C holder corporation. Now, I think because of that, we should, again, award a Cannabis Legalization News Nobel Peace Prize. There we go. That's why you tune in. Cannabis Legalization News for real legal tidbits and a little bit of zaniness. But that IRC 280E would go away. It would make all the operators that have been paying that tax probably file amendments for because tax years, they last for 3 years, look back to get audited. Interestingly enough, the last time Donald Trump was president, audits dropped off a cliff. May happen again this time. He did fire a lot of people at the IRS. We'll see. And then dispensaries, especially, don't name your dispensary Cannabis Dispensary LLC. Just don't do that. You're just asking the IRS to audit you. They would look at whether or not you paid all that tax. And so one of the reasons why I think Congress may actually act after they move it to Schedule 3 is that IRC 280E would no longer tax it on gross profits, but instead it would be like any other business. So you soak up all those gross profits with like marketing expenses. MJ Biz might be like bumping next year if it's Schedule 3 because they would have a marketing expense. It's one of the things that you really can't pay for, or you can, but you have to pay for it after taxes, as opposed to paying for it and all your staff and all your employees and everything like that, and then paying your taxes like any normal business. So the industry would become more profitable, which would also maybe allow for some restructuring of debts. Let's see what's going on. He's on Fox Live. It's live. Why is it not going to here? It says White House Live. I'm going to have to go over to Fox News. Isn't that how it would be? Like Donald Trump just would not put it on his own website. Watch Fox News Live. Play. I do not have a Fox News subscription. I have to go to Fox News on YouTube. You'd really think that it's whitehouse.gov live. Oh, he's coming. Okay, let's go back to it. Okay, he's finally getting here. And then audio.
Drug has nothing to do with it. Just as the prescription painkillers may have legitimate uses, but can also do irreversible damage and never, if you look at some of the damage that can be caused, wreck lives, and if it's abused, it's never safe to use powerful controlled substances in recreational manners, and especially in this case, if you take a look, illegal and unregulated drugs, very, very bad thing. So I've always told my children, don't take drugs, no drinking, no smoking, and just stay away from drugs. I have been, they would look at me and they said, Dad, would you stop saying that? I would say,
like, don't do drugs.
Looked at it practically.
As he signs an executive order.
Young Americans are especially at risk. So unless a drug is recommended by a doctor for medical reasons, just don't do it. At the same time, the facts compel the federal government to recognize that marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered in some cases. This may include the use as a substitute for addictive and potentially lethal opioid painkillers. They cause tremendous problems. This can do it in a much lesser way, can make people feel much better that are living through tremendous pain and problems. 40 states and multiple U.S. territories have already recognized the use of medical marijuana. This reclassification order will make it far easier to conduct marijuana-related medical research, allowing us to study benefits, potential dangers, and future treatments. It's going to have a tremendously positive impact, I believe. We're also asking Congress to reconsider its classification of hemp-derived CBD to ensure seniors can access CBD products they have found beneficial for pain and other reasons. Some people are literally dying, and dying with tremendous pain, and this can, in many cases, literally stop it. And they have their senses about them, as opposed to painkillers, which
it's a descheduled substance. And so how can you do it with a descheduled substance? Epidiolex is like Schedule 5. That's going to be interesting. We will do some coverage on that.
Exactly what we're doing. This is really something having to do with common sense. And it's something having to do with the fact that so many people that I respect ask me to do it. People that are having problems, big problems. They are having big problems with illness, with cancer in particular. I now want to ask Dr. Oz to say a few words, followed by Dr. Braun, Dr. Casseret, Dan Wiley, and Dr. Valcow, and we'll sign the order as soon as they're complete, and we'll take some questions. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you for always bravely pushing for common sense change, as you call it. So President Trump, Secretary Kennedy have been pushing for change. They're passionate in their desire to help the American people, and they have relentlessly pursued this agenda throughout this administration. This also includes a deep passion for research, gold standard research, as Secretary Kennedy also says.
Maybe a pilot
But there's
program.
another side to the president
Research.
that often isn't reflected in media reports, and that's the deep passion he has for the people in his life. And he has called me frequently about the people who are calling him, as he alluded to, who are saying that they've got problems and they got relief from some of the solutions we're talking about today. Howard Kessler, who's standing behind me here, was a mutual friend of ours, was an early caller of the president. Many others have ever reached out as well. And Howard's been a passionate advocate for avoiding narcotics, especially in seniors, and particularly seniors suffering from cancer. And that's a population that is a very important one. And it's a sympathetic population that's desirous of trying new ways besides some of the conventional approaches that have been tested by pharmaceutical companies but have untoward side effects. At the beginning of the year, one of the first things the president told me, he doesn't actually tell you, he demanded from me, that my agency, CMS.
Nobody demands from him. Nobody. You have to know him.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Use the whole tools at his wherewithal to find a better way to help seniors. A passion for a population that has gotten left behind with these discussions. I promised that we would find an answer, even though it had not been done before. And today we are delivering on that promise. Today, our Innovation Center at CMS is announcing a new model and additional actions to give seniors access to cannabinoids. These are CBDs. They're non-addictive, which many are already using to manage pain. There's some clinical evidence that's showing that CBDs provide relief from common conditions that affect Americans, including cancer symptoms and chronic pain and a slew of other problems that affect disproportionately seniors and our veterans. And 6 in 10 people who use the CBDs report that they improve their pain. I think all of those people are calling the president, judged on the number of calls in support of what we're doing today. And sometimes these decisions are difficult, and there's a reason this hasn't happened before. And there's a reason, Mr. President, that every president before you has whiffed on this issue. It's tough. And I know there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. That's why we're so passionate about making it clear that this patchwork that we're working within now, the laws and regulations, they're leaving patients and doctors without adequate guidance on the safeguards of how to use these products, even though they're still being used. At Medicare, we cover 68 million Americans, including people under the age of 65. And they did not have a way of providing these treatments until today. With the president's insistence, that's all changes. The Innovation Center models are going to allow millions of Americans on Medicare to become eligible to receive CBD as early as April of next year. And
April of next year, receiving CBD at no charge.
Thanks to the hard work of the entire CMS team, especially Abe Sutton and Gita Dio at the Innovation Center, the accountable care organizations in this country working in Medicare will be able to provide these products, again, at no cost to patients. Medicare Advantage insurers, and we've been calling them, are also agreeing to consider CBD to be used for the 34 million Americans that they cover. If you can hear my voice and you're over 65, you should pay attention to this executive order because it's going to touch your life. Again, this all becomes active after the first quarter of next year. These CBD products must first meet local and state quality and safety standards. They must come from legitimate sources. They must abide by other regulations of those states. With these boxes checked, patients can be eligible for up to $500 of hemp-derived products each year.
There you go.
This is the first
$500
government-led testing of quality and outcomes for patients across different conditions, and it delivers on the need for more data collection and research into hemp usage. CMS is going to collect data, that's our job, on the patients that are being given these products by their physicians. And in accordance with all the privacy and security regulations, we're going to analyze that data. We're going to make it publicly available to everybody to be able to analyze with us. If it shows promise, we will expand access to these products to even more conditions amongst Medicare and Medicaid beneficiaries. I want to thank not just the secretary, but Marty McCary. We want a lot of companies who are doing this research that approach the FDA for formal approval. That is the right way to move forward. And Jay Bhattacharya, who's hiding in the back, he rarely hides, but Jay runs NIH, and he's agreed to support initiatives to study the data that we're collecting. Howard Kessler, God bless you for being a pain in our sides. Mr. President, he's promised to stop calling you. But on this issue, we'll call you on other issues. And I thank you again from the bottom of my heart for taking a difficult stance.
Thank you.
Trump has really earned his
Okay.
cannabis legalization
Mr.
news
President,
peace prize.
Members of the cabinet, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and for your leadership in rescheduling cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. This decision will accelerate scientific research and expand what can responsibly be studied. I'm a cancer psychiatrist and medical cannabis researcher at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Over the past decade, federal investment in research has helped transform cancer care. People are living longer than ever before. But cancer care is not only about treating the tumor, it's also about addressing the anxiety, the fear, the stress that can come with a diagnosis, symptoms that can interfere with treatment and make recovery much
I like
more
how he has
difficult.
like scientists
Many
breaking
medications
it down
we
for
use
people.
for acute anxiety carry significant
I guess
risks,
Dr. Oz qualifies.
particularly in the older adults. That's why we're studying specific natural compounds found in cannabis, including the non-addictive cannabidiol, to understand whether they can safely
lot
and
about
effectively
CBD.
help manage anxiety during cancer treatment. Rescheduling allows us to ask these questions rigorously about dosing, about safety, and who may benefit most. This research reflects the best of federal investment, helping people not only live longer, but live better. Thank you, Mr. President, for supporting careful science-based research that puts patients first.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. That's beautiful. Thank you.
I'll add my vote of thanks, Mr. President. I never really thought this day would come. I met a patient about 20 years ago, a retired professor named Elizabeth, who came to my clinic. She was dying of pancreatic cancer, and she asked me then whether cannabis might help her. And I said no, because that's what I learned in medical school.
Oh,
She reached into her briefcase, took out a 3-inch tall stack of articles, put them down on my desk and said, "Really, doctor? You should read these. You might learn something." And I did read those articles, every single one, and found a bunch more. And I did learn something. I learned that there actually is some medical benefit to cannabis that I had not anticipated, never heard about in medical school. Second, I learned that there was a lot we don't know. And third, I learned it's really, really, really difficult to do high quality randomized controlled trials of a substance that's federally illegal. This rescheduling
True.
has the potential to change all of that and to rewrite the way that we do research related to cannabis in the United States in 3 ways. First of all, it'll democratize the research process so that all academic institutions can participate in research, not just elite academic medical centers. Number 2, it'll give patients and researchers access to highly refined, reliable sources of cannabis rather than relying on 1 or 2 sources around the country. And last but not least, it'll let us do the sorts of large-scale randomized controlled trials that we do in oncology and
Yes.
cardiology, not dozens of patients, but hundreds or thousands of patients. That's how we learn. That's how we produce valuable knowledge that's useful in guiding treatment decisions. Mr. President, without you, this never would have been possible. And my patients and I and all of our families are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, very much. Thank you very much.
yeah. Don't forget to get those
Mr.
claps
President,
going.
I am Ian Wiley, National Commander of the American Legion, representing 1.5 million veterans. We are the largest veterans organization. We have 2.5 million members
Bring
of our
down the
American
vets.
Legion family. And I want to start
Shout out to all the vets
for
tonight.
your leadership on this issue. This issue is extremely important to the American Legion, and I want to thank you on behalf of the veterans who are going to benefit from potentially the research regarding this issue. Also want to thank you for your VA Secretary Collins, and his work on difficult veterans issues with us this past year. The VA has worked with us on our Be the One mission, which is a mission to fight the epidemic of veteran suicide. Veterans are disproportionately affected by conditions such as PTSD, TBI, depression, and chronic pain.
Wow.
And with this reclassification, it will allow research to be conducted with regard to cannabis. There is anecdotal evidence that cannabis benefits these conditions, and now we'll have an opportunity to see if research does prove that it is effective. And if it is so, then it'll open up a whole new method of treatment for our veterans with regard to this particular issue. And so, again, I just want to thank you for your
Thank you, Dan.
leadership and thank you on behalf of the American Legion for this executive order.
Thank you. Such great people.
Thank you very much.
That have
Right.
suffered and will suffer a lot less now,
You're right.
based on what I hear.
Good
Anybody
afternoon.
else, please?
I'm Nora Volkov. I'm Director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And for us,
Wow.
that rescheduling opens the door to actually be able to accelerate the rate at which we can do research and discovery. And research is crucial in order for us to, for example, understand what may be and for whom the dangers of cannabis. Yes, cannabis can be addictive. And
Cannabis.
certainly,
I like how
people,
she says that.
adolescents and children
Been saying
may be the
the
most
whole time.
vulnerable. But we cannot close our eyes to research and the opportunity that we are hearing from patients that for some of them, cannabis can solve their problem. And so what we need to do is do
Selling
research,
off.
number one, to understand what are those conditions. Number
It's
two,
not
in
too bad,
order
like
to be able
13%.
to optimally learn how to use it. And to
It's
understand,
called
number
Buy the
three,
Rumor,
who is a
Sell the News.
danger. And it is knowledge that will allow us to optimally
Shout out
benefit
to our new members.
take the benefits
Jordan?
that may be behind cannabis, as research shows, but on the other hand, also enable us better to do prevention interventions to protect those that are most vulnerable. So thanks very much.
This is a great
job.
thing.
Thank you very
This is
much.
really,
Thank you,
uh,
Doctor. Bobby, do you have something to say?
Very good.
I'll just echo, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your leadership and vision and finally getting to closure on this issue. This is a question, a scientific question, that has divided our country for many, many years. And there are valid claims on both sides. On one side, patients and physicians attest that cannabinoids and THC can have miraculous effects on chronic pain, on epilepsy, on PTSD, on chemotherapy-induced nausea. My friend Howard Kessler, without whom we wouldn't be here today, drove this change in the schedule. And he did it
Shout out
because
to
of his
Howard
own
Kessler.
experience in mitigating the impacts of chemotherapy. Is nothing to gain from this. He just saw something that worked for him, that worked for thousands of other Americans, and he wants to make it available to them.
Yes.
On the other side, there are valid claims about the negative impacts, about addiction, about psychosis,
Funny.
about adverse public health impacts, and impacts particularly on young people. So we haven't been, the evidence on all of these is anecdotal and it's hypothetical because we have not been able to do scientific studies. There is no standardized dosing. And if you don't have standardized dosing, any study that you do is comparing apples to pears. And we don't know the difference between botanicals and synthetics, and all of these questions we're now going to be able to answer. 5
Technically, the Epstein file is
administrations
supposed to come
have
out.
promised to act on this issue. The Biden administration promised to do this, and the proposal began during the Biden administration. It got mired down in the chaos and inertia and disorganization of that. And I want to thank President Trump, who made the promise during the 2024 election that he was going to come in and solve this issue, that he was going to take decisive action, and he has kept that promise today. And so thank you, President Trump, for your vision. And because of that, we will have answers very soon. This will finally allow us to study this issue and to answer these questions for the American people.
Howard Kessler, a friend of mine, one of the most successful people in the country, came to see me on more than one occasion, actually. And he had some real difficulty about 3.5, 4 years ago. And he went through hell. And during his going through hell, he probably sampled everything you can sample when you're going through that, Howard. And he came to me, he said, there's been nothing like this. And we're going to have to take a good, strong look at it. And that's what he asked me to do. And others have likewise said that, many others. I mean, again, it's, I've never been inundated by so many people as I have about this particular reclassification. And I don't know that you have anything to say, Howard. If you'd like, you could say whatever you
I
like.
just want to help the people 65 and over and make a difference in their lives. And we have machines and talent that could do it, not in 8-year clinical trials, but in a year. And we're going to
Wow.
prove that may change the world really in healthcare. So
We want to give Howard
And
Kessler
I'm far
the
younger than 65, so
Legalization
this does
Peace
not
Prize.
pertain to me. Thank you. I don't want it, okay? I'm not going to be taking it. But a
Oh,
lot of people do want it. A lot of people need it, and
Trump says he's not
thank
going
you,
to be taking
Howard,
weed.
for really opening a lot of eyes. Okay, we'll sign it. We'll take some questions from the press. You can ask the doctor some questions. And it's an honor to do this. Well, that's a good one. We rate that.
And there's the favorite part. The scientists and shows it to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Any questions, please?
Mr. President,
Yes.
a health-related question on your healthcare plan. You've said you want to make direct payments to Americans, but these Obamacare subsidies are expiring now
Really
in a
talking about
matter
something
of just a
besides
few days. More than
cannabis.
20 million Americans are now bracing for their premiums to skyrocket. Are you going to
Because
let
of
this
Obama.
happen, or
Yeah,
will you
because-
intervene?
Yeah, they will skyrocket because it was never any good.
All
I'd
right.
like to see the money that
I'm
is
not sure
going
if
to
you're
the
going to be
insurance
doing
companies
questions
by the
about
hundreds
cannabis
of
on this, or
billions
if you're
of
just going to
dollars.
start peppering
You know,
him
the
with
stocks
other
are up
questions.
1,400%,
Off the Magic President.
1,800%, and
Shout out to that person.
1,624%. The stocks
You guys
are
have
up
any
through the
questions?
roof over
Get 'em
a
in.
fairly short period of time.
You know, hit
Because they're
refresh on
getting
the executive
vast
orders.
amounts of
fill
money.
that
I
up.
want that money to go to the people directly and let the people buy their own health care. And they'll get much better health care than they get with the Unaffordable Care Act, as it's known by a lot of people. It is virtually unaffordable for people. It's a bad thing. We can have a great thing. Let the money go directly to the people and let them buy their own health care.
But this is an urgent problem, Mr. President. Is there anything you can do now, Mr. President?
Can I ask you,
This is going to be right now, as far as I'm concerned. Go ahead.
He's
We just got
signed-
data today.
It's not
We
scheduled
have
for
federal
yet.
exchanges
He's
where
signed-
people come shopping for the ACA. And the president hasn't heard this yet, but we've talked to the team. The percentage change from
Not
last
about
year
weed. This
was
is about
down 2.7
the
to
American,
2.8%.
the ACA.
Not the massive numbers that have been predicted. And there's many possible reasons for this. But right now, Americans are signing up for these programs despite all the things that have been going on. 2.8% is a tiny fraction of what many had claimed would happen. And I think it speaks to the fact the American people appreciate these ACA plans are already subsidized over 80%. So it's a good deal, even if you don't get the extra 15, 20%.
It's a great solution to much better healthcare at a much lower cost. Yeah, please.
But do you want Congress to extend these ACA subsidies?
Well, I'd like not to be able to do it. I'd like to get right into this, and I'd ask Oz this question in particular, but I'd like to see us get right into this. I don't know why we have to extend.
Right into it.
This could be done rapidly if the Democrats would come along. We have a problem. The insurance companies own the Democrat Party. They own it. And the Democrats
They-
having a
they really
hard
made
time.
this all
They give
about
a lot of
healthcare,
money to the
which
Democrats.
is pretty
Very little
interesting,
money
but
to
he's
Republicans,
signed
by
an
the way.
order
A lot of money to
directing the
Democrats, and
rescheduling process to
They're
go
going to have to
through.
decide,
But
do they want to
really,
do the right
most
thing
of
or
it,
do they
the
want to
order was
be
about
beholden
CBD.
to
I mean, that was a
the,
huge giveaway to
insurance
the hemp
companies?
farmers.
They're making a fortune.
500
I want the
bucks
money
a
to go to
year
the
of
people. Go
CBD
ahead,
products
Ash,
for
how would you say
seniors.
that?
I agree with the president. We have some ideas out there. Congress is working through some concepts. I just want to emphasize that the ACAs are not imploding based on the data we just received from the federal marketplace.
This
CDL
can go
card
very
holders,
quickly, actually. Yes, please.
still nothing on that.
Can I ask you, clarify something for me on the Federal Reserve? How many people are?
Now they're
you
talking about the Federal
interviewing for the
Reserve.
Fed
I'm
chair,
gonna
and
switch
What did you think of Chris Wallace?
the tab. And so mute that one. All right. Now, somebody did point out that Epidiolex has been descheduled. So that's right. Epidiolex has been descheduled. What's going to happen to people's hemp shops? You will be able to sell CBD, it seems, and maybe even sell CBD to seniors. But how are you going to get reimbursed for that? That's one of the really interesting aspects of it, because that reimbursement has to do with, Medicare. So like, when was the last time your hemp shop ever submitted a payment request to Medicare? That's going to be very, very strange. But that CBD giveaway is huge. I'm still going to refresh the browser. They have not put up his executive order yet, so we can't go over that specific definitionals and documentation. Ideally, we'd be able to have it, but the White House puts out the stuff when they want to put it out. If you have any questions about what just happened, he's directed Pam Bondi to move forward with the rescheduling, but a lot of it was directed at hemp, redefinition to allow for the full spectrum CBD products, and also so that seniors can buy up to $500 of CBD products and have Medicare pay for it per year. Pretty interesting on that, and how it's all going to shake out. We're going to do more analysis on it once we actually have copies of the executive order itself. By early next year, you're probably going to see Pam Bondi sign something that finalizes the rule for Schedule 3 marijuana and maybe changes that 0.4 milligram. But whenever you get into changing statutes, it gets hard. But if you remember, this is the president that did not enforce the law about TikTok. He allowed TikTok to continue to exist until they found somebody to buy it. So there you go. That was pretty exciting. Now, let's see if you guys have any questions regarding that. Here's one that I'm not going to be able to answer. I apologize. I cannot speak that much Russian. Let's see. Smoke your Monsanto weed, they say. And how is the MSOs taking it? Let me go ahead and share my screen on that one. You can see that the MSOs are down 11%. So that's where they're at. They're down to, now they're down 12.7%. This is a classic sell the news situation. THCA flower is gone, completely gone. Of course, once the new Farm Bill definition takes effect next year, and then states have already started to ban it, depending on what state you live in. It'll probably continue along that way. Yeah, more of that. Okay. And then I don't know where you're from, Tom. Okay, that's something. I am from the internet. It's actually made by the internet. No, cannabis is not officially Schedule 3. The president lacks the authority to be able to make cannabis officially Schedule 3. That requires Pam Bondi's signature, or that requires Terry Cole's signature as the DEA administrator. But he is directing them to, finish it up, get it ready to go, make sure that it goes to Schedule 3. And that's fantastic news. Worse news if you are buying the stocks right now. I'm going to try to see if we actually get, I don't know how long it takes for them to do it. President Trump is signing something. He's still yada, yada, yada. Let's see what they're talking about now. No. Now they're talking about the military. So he's using this as no longer is he talking about cannabis. Now he's just using it as a press conference. Now they're talking about the military. But the interesting thing is that cannabis will be Schedule 3 sometime next year, because it's going to be the holidays here. And then CBD and hemp is not as royally screwed as maybe they thought. It will, they're going to work on trying to allow for the full spectrum hemp products. And by they, I mean what Dr. Oz is in charge of, CMS. That's the Medicare, Medicaid division of the HHS. Pretty interesting, really interesting stuff that he spent so much time really talking about the cancer, the pain, and CBD, which I didn't think it was going to be so much on CBD, but can't be that surprised. And one of the things that we really do want to, of course, stress is, thanks for the members that joined, and thanks for everybody who tuned in. On Sunday, Miggy's back from vacation. We have a new Cannabis Legalization news, which will be hitting. Same bat time, same bat channel on Sunday. If you want to get all the stories that we'll be covering and notice when we go live, there is a QR code on your screen that you can scan and fill out a small form. We do like to see if you're in the industry, because, Miggy and I are in the industry. We got a dispensary opening. We're thinking about going with FlowHub, and as a result, we'll be talking to FlowHub CEO More on the scheduling and the rescheduling news that just happened, but he can't reschedule by himself. One thing that I thought was two things. Okay, what didn't he talk about? He didn't talk about clemency. So like I guess pardons will be some other time. Another thing that he didn't talk about looks like, and pardons are like the things that, because it's literally in the Constitution that the president has the most authority to be able to do. The other thing he did not mention is safe banking at all, but he did call on Congress to work to help the seniors get CBD, which even Epidiolex is now descheduled. They aren't scheduled drugs, but it is still a drug. And so like, how do you, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. We'll have to see how they do rules. And also I would like to read the actual executive order. We still have not gotten a copy of the executive order. The executive order, whitehouse.gov, presidential actions, executive order. I will share that again in the comments for everybody who's still hanging out with us. Shout out to you. You can keep refreshing that page, and what he just signed will eventually hit that. One of these things that I can do right now is I could ask Grok to see if he's already been able to find it. That's one of the nice things about AI. They can scour the internet for you way faster than you can. Can you find the, let me just go ahead and share this screen then, make it easier for everybody to join in on grokking stuff. And we will just put that up as that, and then media assets, turn that off, turn that one on. Can you find the new executive order about marijuana Trump just signed? Hopefully it is okay with my misspelling on that. And it does take some time to think, but way less time than we do. Key details. It expedites the rescheduling, yada, yada. Does he have a link of it? 59 news sources. Web. Searched. All CBS, New York Times, CNN, Marijuana Moment. Yeah, they don't have the actual doc, which kind of stinks, but it expedites the rescheduling process, and it facilitates expanded medical research. So that was the big one. It's like expanded medical research. The reason why we got rescheduling pushed through, expanded medical research. And then they also are going to be giving a lot of hemp farmers something to, like, they aren't going to be able to make Delta 8 anymore, but they can sell up to $500 of CBD to seniors on America's dime. That's fascinating. Any other comments coming on in? We have like 171 of them, some in Russian. And a little too late. Answer more of our questions, please. The CDL drivers cannot smoke. No, they cannot. The CDL drivers, again, it has not been rescheduled. It is going to be rescheduled. They're expediting the rescheduling process. He's directing the Attorney General and the Department of Justice to finish the rescheduling process, which started about 3+ years ago in 22 when Biden signed the first executive action on this. This is the second executive action that's been signed about rescheduling marijuana, but it really expanded. And it's intended to expand medical research, not just on THC, but also CBD. But it's still a Schedule I substance. Even when it is rescheduled, it's still illegal. You can't be put into the stream of commerce legally because there is a conflict between the federal law, the FDCA, Food, Drug, Cosmetic Act, and the CSA. So the CSA schedules them, criminalizes them, and then the FDCA is the approval process. So they may be placed into the stream of commerce, and that is still not done. So it may become done over the course of the next few years, but it's still not done. $500 per patient. Well, no, $500 per senior. So that's pretty interesting. And then we had Frida Leith. Thank you, Trump. You rock. Puff the Magic President was another person's. And, I just wish that we had a copy of the real executive order, but that's probably going to have to wait for another cannabis legalization news. This one really sucked all the fame out of the room for the week, but we're going to be on Sunday. Miggy's back. everybody's back. We do have a good guess. We will definitely have it by then. I'm not going to be able to do any more videos. I have to get back to work, actually. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have not yet, please do give us a subscribe. I'm assuming all 3,000 of you are already subscribers, but interestingly enough, when we look at the evidence or the audits of the data of our shows, only about 55% of the people who tune into the podcast are subscribers. So if you want to follow along, learn more about where this is going, feel free to subscribe. And with that, we cue the exit.